After a tumultuous weekend, more bad weather is expected to start your work week with an outbreak of severe weather likely to occur. This will include strong to intense tornadoes, very large hail, destructive winds, and even flash flooding. We're going to look at the details of all of that, plus take a look at your work week forecast. We'll take a peek down the road, and we'll also even travel into outer space to check on those sunspots we've been watching. Why? Because this is Cold Rain's Weather World, where we've got all the weather, and it starts right now. Hello, friends, and happy Monday to you. Jason Pritchard here with you, host of Cold Rain's Weather World, the fastest growing new weather show on the internet, and that wouldn't be the case without you. So I want to sincerely thank you for stopping by and spending a few minutes with me. If you've subscribed to the channel, thank you for that. We are growing pretty well, and I really appreciate all of the subscribers. Just so you know, I pray for you all every day, all of the people that have subscribed and all of the people that watch the show. I want you to know that I lift you up, and certainly if there are any specific items I can pray over for you please put those in the comments section for me, and I'll be happy to do that. I look at the comments and I respond to all of those. So thank you again for stopping by. We've got a lot of weather to get into today, but one of the promises I make to you is to leave you a little bit smarter than when you came. And one of the ways I do that is by educating us all with a fun little weather fun fact or weather IQ question at the start of every show. And so today's weather IQ question is about general geology. And here it is. What is the name of the area in the Pacific Ocean known for frequent tsunamis? The Atlantic Trench, okay? The Ring of Fire, the Caribbean Sea, or the Indian Ocean Belt? I really hope that the proper name in the question and the proper names in these answers give it away, and it's an easy question for you. Anyway, that is the IQ question for today. If you know it, type it in the comment section. If you don't, just watch the show, and at the end of the show, I will let you know what the answer is. All right, so for the show today, we're going to do things just a little bit differently. Here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go over today's weather and the weather for the upcoming work week so that you know in a nutshell what you need to know about the forecast in case you need to plan for travel or for outdoor activities or things like that. I want you to know that stuff right off the bat. Then we're going to get into the severe weather outbreak that looks likely for this afternoon. We're going to take a look at the details. I'm going to show you who is going to see what, when, how that's going to unfold. We've got more severe weather in the picture for the first half of the week, including another enhanced risk for tomorrow, which we'll get into too. And then we will look at the long-range data as well as some of the geological stuff that we tend to look at, earthquakes, volcanoes, things like that, and the solar update. So we're going to wrap up with that, but that's how the show format's going to be today. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Give us a like the content. Easy to do. Turn the bell, hit the bell for the notifications, and then you can be notified when we put out new content, which I do every single day. So thank you again for subscribing if you have already, but let's keep growing and hit the subscribe button and leave a comment in the comment section as well. But we're going to start today with our satellite image, and you can see right here on the satellite image, big swirl up here. This is a counterclockwise circulation associated with that big low pressure system that's developing, that's helping to bring weather hazards all through the country. We've got a big cold front kind of extending through the southeast like this. We're going to see waves kind of ride that cold front as well. So dry line back here from Texas up into Kansas and Nebraska, so that'll be the focus for showers and thunderstorms this afternoon also. A lot of cloud cover across the country. Rain is falling out from some of those clouds, and you can see that rain here. Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota. You all are under the gun this morning with rainfall, and some heavy at that here in South Dakota. Heavy rainfall in North Dakota too, extending along that front. And some of this activity is producing lightning, so we're seeing some thunderstorm activity through Iowa and potentially down here into Tennessee as well. But you know, places like Union City down close to Atlanta, Georgia, just to the east of there, you all are seeing some rain this morning as you're out and about driving around. A little bit of rain shower activity down here in Texas. And then, of course, approaching Seattle, we've got more wet weather coming into the northwest. More wet weather hanging out in the northeast with the circulation up there as well. So plenty of rain moving across the country this morning. And as we get through the day, this radar will continue to light up, and we'll take a look at how that's going to unfold in a few minutes. Looking at our alerts map, flash flood watches are up for areas in southern Missouri and northern Arkansas, Joplin, Fayetteville. You all could see an additional 2, 4, even as much as 6 inches of rainfall on the 2 or 3 that you've already seen. We've seen round after round of thunderstorms, and so soils are saturated and rivers are already running a little bit high, so any rain that falls is just going to run off and create flash flooding. So watch out there. Freeze warnings up here in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and then over here in New York and Pennsylvania, frost advisories up. Wind advisories up in North and South Dakota, where they seem to be up all the time. 50 to 50 mile per hour gusts are possible this afternoon with that strengthening low pressure system. And then down in the Southwest again, where we always see red flag and wind advisories and wind warnings as well. We've got those in abundance this morning. Don't burn anything down here. Very low humidity. Winds are going to be gusting into the 60s, maybe even 70 miles per hour. I'm not sure how you guys get around out here and plan anything outside with winds in the 60s and 70s virtually every day. But that's what's going on here, and that's your alerts map. Then we take a look at the rainfall that is predicted by the Weather Prediction Center. A couple of areas of concern up here in southern Minnesota. We could see as much as 3 inches of rain, 3 to 4 inches of rain here in northern Missouri, and in southern Missouri and northern Arkansas, where those flash flood watches are up. Another 3 to as much as 4 or 5 inches of rain possible with thunderstorms later today. So that's what's going on. That extends up into Chicago and Indiana, or Illinois and Indiana as well. So lots of rain out there in those areas, folks, so pay attention. The big severe weather threat this afternoon is over the Central Plains, kind of nosing into the mid-Mississippi Valley, along with some of that flash flooding, those flash flooding concerns we were talking about. And along this frontal boundary, we're going to have little waves kind of trajecting out of the northeast through the southeast. And so we could see, from, say, Knoxville down here to just north of Atlanta into Greenville, South Carolina. We're looking at the threat for severe weather later today as one of those systems comes through. The air is unstable and certainly could provide some severe weather later this evening and tonight. So that's what's going on out here. Rain in the northeast today. Expect some snow in the higher elevations out west. Rain coming into the northwest also. Little bit of air quality issue and critical fire situation down here in the south west too. So that is our weather for today. Temperatures cool across the north, 50s and 60s, even some 40s showing up here near that low pressure system that we were looking at before up in North and South Dakota, Montana, and Wyoming. Then warm in the desert southwest, San Joaquin Valley over to the middle of the country and south. We're seeing temperatures running in the 80s, 90s, even hundreds down just in the San Antonio area and southwest of there. So very warm day across the south, setting the stage for a severe weather outbreak later today. If we take a look at the precipitation forecast over the next several days, this map doesn't really show you the typical oranges, yellows, reds, things like that. But where you see darker greens, that is where you can expect that thunderstorms are occurring. So we're seeing some thunderstorms here breaking out this afternoon in the plains. And those, you see how those darker green colors kind of show up here in Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas. That's going to occur later today, but we're going to see plenty of rain across the northern plains and in the central plains as well down here in Texas. Rain coming in over the course of tonight and overnight hours into the northwest, and of course in the northeast too. That rain is exiting out up there and kind of lightening up. But we'll see thunderstorm activity continue to roll through overnight into tomorrow morning. That low pressure continues to move into the east. That will be a big weather maker for folks up into the Great Lakes area with heavy rain and then thunderstorms back through the Mississippi River Valley, the Tennessee Valley. We're going to see another severe weather day up there. Snow and rain into the northwest and Intermountain West. And then eventually, as we get on into Wednesday morning, we're going to see rain shifting into the mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley, southeast, continuing to see a little waves come into the west coast and traverse across the country through the course of the day. Wednesday, a little bit of severe weather possible in the eastern Carolinas, but then that threat will end as the cold front sweeps off. We get into the nighttime hours. Wednesday night, plenty of rain up in the Great Lakes and the mid-Atlantic, a little bit of stalled frontal boundary action going on across the Gulf, where we're seeing some showers down there. Another little wave of low pressure in the mid-levels moving into the Midwest or the Great Plains rather, and that's going to spark some showers through there. We could see an isolated severe weather event or two as we get through the end of the week, but not looking like anything big and organized. The flow is going to kind of become a little bit northwesterly and zonal for a while. But this low pressure is going to just sit and spin up here in the northeast, providing unsettled weather through that day Thursday into Friday and probably into the weekend as well. So unsettled weather up in the northeastern quadrant of the country. Here comes the next system diving in through the central plains that is going to create some showers, possibly thunderstorms as we get on into Friday afternoon. And then as we approach the weekend, that will continue to weaken and move to the east. And another system is going to work into the west. So that is your sensible weather over the next 5 days. Looking at temperatures, the temperature maps are going to look pretty similar the next couple of days. Cool across the north, warm across the south. So the country's kind of bisected there with temperatures that are cool to the north, warm to the south. That will persist as we go into Wednesday with a little bit cooler temperatures up into the northeast. We're going to start to see some warming out west as we go through the week. So for Thursday, we're looking at plenty of 80s and 90s out in the southwest with hundreds showing back up in the desert southwest. Cool in the Rockies, 70s and 60s across the north. In the northern plains, those are rebounding. We've got 40s and 50s in the Great Lakes and New England areas with a little bit of a cool off going on in the southeast. That'll continue through the day Friday as warm air rebounds out west. Cooler air takes over in the east. With the exception of the south and southeast, we're looking at temperatures in the 60s and 70s for much of the country, even 50s up here across the north. So things starting to run a little bit below normal in the east. And as we go through time, we'll look at that in a minute, but we could see additional cooling in the east and warming out west. So that is your work week forecast. We're going to get into the severe weather threat next. But before we do that, I've got a little do you know that is interesting that I think you'll find interesting as well. So since we have so much rain around, I thought it would be an interesting do you know to take a look at raindrops, because we all kind of see raindrops in our mind's eye as this little tear-shaped object. Well, do you know that's actually not true? Raindrops, when they're very small, are spherical, but then they fall. They encounter air resistance as they fall, and the bottom sort of flattens out, leaving a dome on top and a flattened base. So it sort of looks like maybe a hamburger bun or something like that. And then they kind of merge and coalesce, and they'll kind of look like an amoeba for a while. But the general shape of a raindrop as it falls is like a hamburger bun. I saw that. I thought that was interesting. Hope you found that interesting too. So the next time somebody tries to draw a raindrop, tell them they're drawing it wrong. And then you can show them how to draw it the right way. So as I said at the top of the show, we have had a tumultuous last few days. We've had over 2,400 severe weather reports since Thursday, including 109 tornado reports so far. One of those I read where the National Weather Service actually did an assessment of the destruction and found it to be an EF4 tornado with winds 190 miles per hour. Can't even imagine going through something like that. 28 people unfortunately lost their lives. I believe that one was in Kentucky, if memory is serving me right. But lots of damage was done. Homes were destroyed. I was actually out of town this weekend visiting some friends, and their daughter, by the way, who I did a couple of short videos over the weekend, check those out if you get a chance, was running her first 5K in the Be Amazing 5K put on by Girls on the Run, which is a great organization, by the way. They teach young women how to become more confident and stronger, and so empowering young women. And if you get a chance to support that organization, do it. I met the director of the Triangle Regional area for that organization. She was very, very nice. So great outfit there. We had a good time, but we had a severe weather risk that morning, and rain moved through, and the race was run in the rain. But we fortunately lucked out on severe weather, but other folks were not so lucky. And this afternoon is another situation where we're going to see a big outbreak of severe weather, looking at Oklahoma primarily. This is a massive, moderate risk and enhanced risk area here. So we're seeing Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, parts of Missouri, and then eastern Kansas as well. In the moderate zone, enhanced risk surrounds that, covers more territory. Slight risk covers more territory even than that, extending through middle Tennessee into northern Georgia and South Carolina, and a marginal risk around that. So these are the areas that we're going to be looking at for severe weather. Tornado threat is at 15% with a hatched area all the way from the Dallas-Fort Worth area up here into Missouri and Kansas City and areas like that. So we're going to have to really pay attention this afternoon. Could see some significant intense tornadoes, a lot of rotation in the atmosphere. Instability is going to be on the high side. Lots of opportunity for hail to form as well. Big 30% area, again, kind of in the same areas I mentioned before. But the center of that is really around the almost Four Corners region of Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, where those states kind of collide. We're seeing a 40%, 45% chance of large hail. The hatched means very large hail up to softball size in diameter possible. We saw several reports of grapefruit size hail yesterday, actually. Wind report in the same areas or wind profiles are going to be such that atmospheric profiles are going to be such that we're going to see strong winds as well, potentially over 75 miles per hour. Very active day. If we look at what's driving all of this, dew points are really surging up this afternoon. This is Monday afternoon, so we're seeing dew points. If we roll this back a little bit, you can kind of see that dry line through Texas up here. It gets a little bit more diffused once you get north of Oklahoma, but that's going to be a factor down south. Look at the winds just coming out of the south and southwest, just screaming in here, producing a feed of dew points up into the 70s as we get all the way up in here into Kansas and Missouri. So you can see that that is impressive when you have lots of warming at the surface and cooling aloft. It leads to high CAPE values, and you can see that here on the CAPE chart, which this is instability again, convective available potential energy. CAPE is a potential energy. Once it becomes realized, it's kinetic energy, and you have a big thunderstorm on your hands, okay? So this is what we're seeing this morning. We already got over 3,000 joules of CAPE in our hazard area. Look what happens this afternoon. It only gets stronger, 4,500 joules of CAPE per kilogram. And so that's really strong as you go through the course of the evening. The thunderstorms will eat that up, and the atmosphere will cool a little bit, get overturned, and so the CAPE will be less. But you're still going to have plenty of instability around to create thunderstorms and sustain them through the night. So we're going to see thunderstorms form, big supercell thunderstorms, moving into eventually merging into clusters and line segments, creating a broader wind threat, and those will move on off and maintain through the evening. Looking at this through the course of the Europeans' eyes, that shows our lightning display. Already some thunderstorms out there as we go through the early part of the day, but around midday, around lunchtime, and getting to the early afternoon, thunderstorms just breaking out everywhere. Big thunderstorms developing through the course of the afternoon. And as we get on into the evening hours, the threat continues. Cold fronts in this area, dry lines pushing east, and you've got just a broad lift with that low pressure and then surging wind fields. You've got winds out of the kind of the southwest and the mid levels, and then winds turning out of the south and southwest at the low levels, and that spin with height. The atmosphere is just going to be spinning and ripe for tornadoes through the evening as we get on into the overnight hours. Again, see how those complexes kind of maintain themselves. Get a little line segment down here, even in Texas, is what this model is showing. The models don't do a good job of pinpointing the exact location of thunderstorms, but just anywhere in this general area is where we're going to see lots of shower and thunderstorm activity through the day, and then that'll push east as we get into the evening. So you really have to pay attention. This is a serious weather day, folks, when you have a moderate risk like that. We have a gateway timeout. Hey, but now we're back. Look at that. So tomorrow, much of the same. Right now, we have an enhanced risk through the Tennessee Valley, upper southeast, with a slight risk surrounding that through the Mississippi River Valley, and marginal risk as we creeping into the western sections of the Carolinas. Again, tornado threat pretty high here in western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, southern Kentucky, for significant tornadoes again possible. EF2s, EF3s, things like that. Wind is definitely a possibility, and hail as well. So we're going to have to pay attention again tomorrow, be on our toes out here in those areas. And then through the rest of the week, the only other day that's highlighted is Wednesday, and it probably is going to occur earlier on in the day. Cold front's going to be pushing east as that low pressure pushes through the lakes. It's going to drag that cold front through. So eastern sections of North and South Carolina and then eastern Virginia could see enough wind shear and instability early on to create a marginal severe weather risk. We'll see if that gets upgraded as the week goes on, but that's what we're looking at from a severe weather standpoint. So we need to be on guard the next couple of days, and then the threat dies out as we get later on into the week, though some isolated thunderstorms could occur back in the plains through the end of the week. Looking at the flow pattern, this is kind of what's driving everything. Tuesday afternoon, got that big upper low. You see this? This is what's been driving the severe weather. We've got this big negatively tilted trough and upper low up here. And I always say when you have this sort of this frown like this sideways frown, It's kind of tilted to the sideways. See how it's kind of cockeyed like that? When you have that, that's not a good setup because you've got blocking ahead, to the north. It's kind of slowing these systems down, allowing them to amplify out here in the plains. And we've seen this repeating pattern. I've seen this several times this spring. We've got another one coming in way out in, 2 weeks down the road, it looks like again. So we could see this same pattern repeat, but that brings severe weather around when you see that. And we're certainly seeing that. So we go out here over time, over Tuesday, Wednesday, and then finally that trough will push east as we get on into Wednesday and Thursday. You see how that does. Then our flow becomes a little bit more zonal, meaning a little cool to the north of the jet stream, a little warmer to the south of the jet stream, and we don't have these big troughs or amplifications that go on as we get on out into Thursday and Friday. You get kind of a little bit of a ridge out here in the plains that should limit the severe weather threat. And then, of course, a trough, gentle, broad trough in the east. So cooler weather expected with maybe some unsettled weather up here under that upper low. It just sort of sits and spins over the northeast through the weekend. And then we have another trough pushing in as we get into next week. And then look at this. Big upper trough coming back into play out here into the northern parts of the West Coast. So as we get on down the road, we're going to see this start to play a role in our weather maybe next week. The 6 to 10 day outlook, the 24th of May through the 28th. So we get on into the end of May, early June, looking like a strong signal for below normal in the east with a trough here, a strong signal of above normal readings in the west with a ridge here. Alaska below to near normal. Hawaii is above. 6 to 10 day above normal precipitation in the plains. We'll continue to see, systems kind of dive in and provide enough instability and moisture return to see above normal out there, but below across the north and the desert southwest as well. Checking in on our geology here. So we've got volcanoes. Volcanology is actually what we're looking at here. Great Sitkin, Kilauea are the ones that are on kind of undergoing eruptions. Spur is still on watch, and so is Aihe down here. I think it's Aihe. I think that's how you say that. But those are the 4 we've been watching. Not much going on the earthquake front. A few minor quakes here in the Middle East, but nothing really big over the course of the weekend, which is good. Sunspots. So we've got sunspots turning in again. You can see, look at that little activity. See that flaring over here? You can kind of see that coming off these sunspots. So an active sunspot region, coronal hole directed toward us. So we're going to see a wind stream continue to come out of this, but so far there hasn't been a lot of dense solar wind coming from this, and so we haven't had any magnetic field engagement, and we don't see much in the way of auroras either. So folks, that is our weather update for today. Now we're going to circle back with our WeatherIQ question, and I hope you got this one right. This one was pretty easy to get right. I didn't want to start Monday out with a hard one. What is the name of the area of the Pacific Ocean known for frequent tsunamis? The Atlantic Trench, the Ring of Fire, the Caribbean Sea, or the Indian Ocean Belt? Well, of course, the answer is the Ring of Fire. Ring of Fire is known for tectonic activity. There are several plate boundaries around the rim of the Pacific. You find volcanic activity along plate boundaries, and we see volcanoes all around the Ring of Fire. We see earthquakes frequently, and those, of course, generate tsunamis occasionally. So that, folks, is our update for today. Stay weather aware this afternoon. Keep checking in with your local weather outlets. National Weather Service does a great job of providing those alerts, and stay tuned. I will post on X at Real Cold Rain if there are any warnings or updates that need to be made. But anyway, that's it for today, folks. I'll have another show tomorrow. This is Cold Rain reminding you, other channels run 24/7, but we run 48/14 to keep you covered all the time right here at Cold Rain's Weather World. Take it easy, folks.